Hello everyone, welcome back to Yuno Learning. So today we're going to review another recent IELTS Writing Task 2 question. We're going to look at the criteria assessments that the examiner look for and how you are going to fulfill those criteria by incorporating those basic things in your essay. So let's go ahead and have a look at the different types of essays in your IELTS Writing Task 2. So let's see what are the kinds of essays that you get, right? So starting from a discussion essay, as the name clearly states it, the question you will get in a discussion essay would be like discuss both sides or discuss both sides and give your opinion. In this particular essay, you are supposed to take up an argument, discuss both sides of the argument for and against, and then even give your opinion if it is asked, otherwise not. That is how a discussion essay goes. Then moving on to we have opinion essays. Now, I think it's pretty clear from the name itself again. Opinion essay is where you only state your opinion. So you could agree, you could disagree, there could be a partial agreement that yes, some part of the statement is true, but the other parts I'm not really inclined to. Now, this is an opinion essay. Now, what does the question look like? Do you agree or disagree? To what extent do you agree or disagree? Or just simply give your opinion? Now, all these kinds of questions come under opinion essay. Then we have advantage, disadvantage essay. Now, what do we mean by this? Wherein you're going to talk about the advantages or disadvantages of a particular topic. Let's just simply say AI, what are the advantages? So you go ahead and write the advantages. But there are different kinds within these categories. For example, do advantages outweigh disadvantages? Now, what do I mean here? When you're given such a question, you have to take a side wherein you'll be presenting the advantages and disadvantages in the ratio of 2 is to 1. Now, that means that you have to present two advantages or two disadvantages, and then the latter would be one only. That means you have to take a 70-30% stance because we have to tell that they are both, there's an advantage and there's a disadvantage, but there is one more, the advantages are more than the disadvantages. So that is the stance we're going to take in this particular essay. Now, why are these categories even relevant, or why am I even telling you about these? Because when we're attempting essays, we have to make sure that the approach to these essays is correct. Now, the argument could be the same. Like, for example, the AI is revolutionizing the, let's say, content writing industry, right? That's an argument. Now, depending upon the instruction, if you're told to discuss this essay or give your opinion or discuss the advantages or disadvantages, the essay would look entirely different. This is where these categories become very, very relevant. And for you to have an idea of what each essay will look like, that is very, very important. Otherwise, you'll be losing marks on your task response and other factors. So now let's have a look at the question that we are going to face today. Yes, this is the question that we're going to discuss today. This was asked on 8th of January, 2024. So this is a very recent question, and most of the times the questions that come in as essays can or cannot be the same. So you always have to get an idea of what the previous questions looked like. So you can always, get an idea of what the pattern is going on. So the question that was discussed is children today are too dependent on computers and electronic and devices. It would be better to encourage them to spend more time outside playing sports and games. So this is your argument. This is what I call the argument or just the statement, right? So the argument here is a very simple relative topic that you've seen in everyday life, that children today are more dependent on computers, playing video games, and we should encourage them to go ahead and play outdoor sports like badminton and so and so. So what is your stance? Now, what am I supposed to do in this essay, right? The question becomes that this is the argument. Okay, you've said this. What do I do? So what are you supposed to do is you are supposed to tell us, do you agree or disagree? Now, this is an opinion essay, as you can see. So now here we're going to take the approach of where we're going to talk about what we personally, what you as an individual personally think that is it a good thing that these people are dependent on computers? Are they like, should we embrace the technology as it is, or should we go ahead and encourage outside sports and games? Now, depending upon your argument and depending upon your points, like whenever you're framing an argument, like whatever you choose between both the sides, you make sure that you have at least two arguments to support that particular stance. It cannot be just a one-liner. So whenever you're choosing your opinion, make sure you also have the ability to express it in your terms. Like a lot of times, students choose an opinion, but then they don't know how to go ahead and express it. For example, let's take a very simple essay that is very quite frequent with my students is paper books versus ebooks. Now, it could be either. You could like paper books or ebooks, right? But a lot of time my students are like, we like paper books. But when I ask them why and explain that how paper books are better than ebooks, not just why paper books, but why are they better than ebooks, then they're not able to describe it. So when you're forming an opinion, remember you have to have at least two significant reasons for it. And it is very, very important. Now, if you can go ahead and explain it, definitely. But if you can't, and you see that ebooks is easier to explain, then go take that up and strategize your answer according to that. All right. So, what are the steps that we're going to follow now that we've understood the argument and what the instruction that is given to us? So, we number one understand the given statement that we're going to talk about how children are dependent on computers and electronics and why should we encourage them to go ahead and play sport game, depending on your opinion. Understand the instruction. This was the instruction. Do you agree or disagree? Now, how we are going to elaborate in this, I will just move on to that in a minute. And generate content. So, as I said, reasons are important. So, when you have a reason for this particular stance that you have chosen, only then go ahead with it. Now, for this essay, if you're supposed to write your agreement, your opinion, there are a few ways to go about it. Agreement or disagreement can be number one, 100%. You can 100% agree or disagree. So let's say there's one way to approach this. You're agreeing to the statement. Yes, you should play outside sports. Or you're 100% disagreeing that no, it's okay. We should embrace technology. Or it could be a partial agreement within this statement wherein you are saying, okay, you should still embrace technology, but go to play outside sports more, right? So you could choose a one side more than the other. That let's say you are more on the side of electronic devices. That okay, outdoor sports are okay, but electronic devices should also be encouraged because this is the era, let's say. Or the other opinion could be outdoor sports more 70% and 30% devices. So your opinion can go ahead and dissect into these ways. But when we're talking about a partial agreement, it cannot be a 50-50. You cannot say, yes, you should embrace, but also outdoor sports. No, it always has to be in the ratio of 70s to 30. That means you should agree to one thing more than the other. Okay, so there could be just one point about why we should embrace technology, but more on the side of outdoor sports. Now, see, whenever we're given the instruction to what extent you agree or disagree, or do you agree or disagree, we're going to talk about our opinion. How will the structure look like? If it is a 100% agreement, then we will have introduction as usual. Body paragraph 1, let's say we are agreeing, and body paragraph 2 for your agreement. Again, this is how the essay will look, and then conclusion. Now, if I do a partial agreement, so depending upon your stance, if you let's say disagree more, then we will have body paragraph of agreement, same. But the body paragraph 2 will become about disagreement. Now, since we are disagreeing more than agreement, then we'll have body paragraph 3 of again disagreement. So these are the two structures that we can follow depending on 100% agreement or partial agreement. So whenever you're saying that you agree, if you agree, then again, the entire essay will be about agreement. But if you have a partial agreement, the first paragraph is going to be the opposite view, and then two paragraphs for your view. All right. Let's go. So the essay that we have chosen here is 100% agreement. So let's have a look. Number one, in your introduction, what are the essential elements? What all does we need to be there? Number one, paraphrase the question. Number two, talk about the ideas if you want to, briefly the arguments that you're basically going to present, and then thesis statement. Now, what do I mean by thesis statement? Thesis statement means what is your stance, the answer to this instruction. Do you agree or disagree? So I have to tell them clearly, I disagree, or I agree, or I partially agree. Now, these are the three things that are important, not necessarily in the same order. There's no strict rule for the order, but these three things should be there. When I say paraphrase, that means the examiner should get the essence of the question within the introduction itself. That when I read this introduction, I understand that what is this essay about without even reading the question. That is the essence of paraphrase. Ideas that will give a brief idea that this is what I'm going to discuss in my essay. Why, if you want to. Thesis statement, very, very important. You cannot skip this. Thesis statement means that what is my stance on this? That without even reading the entire essay, the examiner knows that you agree or you disagree. So let's quickly get into it. There's a growing concern about dependency of children on electronic gadgets. So this is the first statement, that there's a growing concern. Many believe that youngsters should be encouraged to devote time to outdoor activities and game. So instead of saying spend more time, we said devote. Instead of writing children once again, we wrote youngsters. So this is how you can use synonyms and change the sentence structure to paraphrase it. So now the question is paraphrase. Then I've written, I completely concur that children should participate in outdoor activities rather than being glued to the screens. Now, this is your thesis statement that is clearly telling your stance on this idea. Now, if you go ahead, if you want to go ahead and also talk about the ideas, then you can just add here because, let's say, because of the growing health concerns, or let's say health disorders and lack of physical activity. If you want to add these pointers in your introduction, you can. All right. But thesis statement is very, very integral. The examiner should know the answer to the question within the introduction. You cannot skip out on these. This is something you can. If you do have the word limit and the space, you can briefly add your pointers that what you're going to discuss. Next, body paragraph 1 for agreement. Before I discuss this body paragraph, what are the essential elements of a body paragraph? Number 1, the opening statement. What do I mean by opening statement? That what this paragraph is going to discuss. Okay. Then your explanation. That whatever the idea is, the reason that you've given, talked about here, you explain it. You just don't give the reason like, oh, this is the reason, and then we'll move on. No, you have to explain it. Why is it so? How is it happening? You have to give a detailed, not a detailed explanation, but you have to add something more, develop the idea more. Then, example. Very important. You have to include a real life example. It could be a personal anecdote or it could be something that you've read in an article. You can go and relate it to your real life because the essays that are given to you are very relatable to your real life. They're not something that you're given out of, that are completely out of your league, but something that you can relate to you in your daily life. So you can add something from your daily life that how your niece, like let's say you can talk about your friends, your peers, or your nieces. That could be a personal anecdote, or you can talk about an article you read in a magazine that how it is. There's a growing concern about lethargy and obesity. You can talk about those things. So let's see, have we included these things? When it comes to spending time outdoors, it has several health benefits for children as participating in physical activities promotes physical fitness. Now, since we are agreeing this statement, this is my opening statement, and here's the pointer that I have given. This is the this is the argument that I'm presenting in this particular paragraph. Promotes physical fitness. That is the overall idea of this particular paragraph. Then, furthermore, it allows youngsters to interact with other age mates and acquire life skills. This is an added additional idea that I'm going to talk about, that is interaction with other age mates and life skills. So see how then we've given it an example. For example, one learns how to collaborate and share with others while playing or being a part of any sports activity. Now, again, there's this closing statement that I'm giving to develop my idea more. If you feel like that I've not developed the idea throughout more, then after an example, we can give a closing statement as well. Now, what will this look like? Without a doubt, participating in outdoor games not only encourages teamwork, but also instills communication, cooperation among children. Hence, it plays a significant role in the emotional development of the child. So, this is how you can go ahead and elaborate your body paragraph. Next, Moving on to the next paragraph, the structure will remain the same. Moreover, the linker, when children explore the natural environment, they get an opportunity to learn about the world around them and develop a deeper connection. So, in the previous paragraph, we talked about the physical benefits as well as the social benefits. You know, about the skills, not just the physical wellness, but the communication skills that they are developing. Now, here we're talking about the interaction with natural environment and deeper connection with nature. Additionally, exposure to fresh air and natural sunlight is crucial for maintaining overall health and well being. To exemplify, now giving an example, a reduction in screen time and an increase in time spent outdoors can decrease stress and radiation on the eyes, which makes children feel better in terms of their well being. Therefore, a closing statement, again, an optional thing that you can go ahead and add and develop more ideas. Spending time in open air helps us in laying the foundation for a healthier and happier future generation. Now, let's move on to the conclusion. Now, in this particular conclusion, one key rule to stick by: no new ideas. You cannot bring out a new idea that not you have not previously discussed in the conclusion itself. So when we're discussing conclusion, we're only going to talk about the ideas that we have already discussed. So you can start with to encapsulate if you like, that could be a linker. It can be undeniably said that encouraging children to spend more time outdoors, playing sports and games is essential for their overall development and well-being. Hence, one must encourage one's offsprings to invest more time out of doors as compared to indoors. Now you can simply go ahead and paraphrase your introduction. But while you're writing your conclusion, make sure that it doesn't sound repetitive. Whatever you've written previously, uh, change the sentence structure, add more, let's say, synonyms in your essay so that it doesn't look repetitive. Now, this is the entire essay. Let's have a look at the whole essay. This is how the entire essay looks like: your introduction, your body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, and conclusion. Now, a few other things that we have to focus on quickly. Number one, task response. Have we given the examiner our opinion? Have we, our ideas aligning to the idea of what the question asked? So the question was about the outdoor sports should be encouraged. Have we covered that, or we have dissected, or to another trajectory, that how outdoor sports are, sometimes students do go into some other dissected arguments, but you have to stick to the idea what the question says. So make sure you read the question 5 to 6 times before even attempting the question, so that you know that what we are going to talk about and you stick to those things. That is your task response. Next is lexical resource. I tell again and again, lexical resource is nothing but just a fancy way of saying your vocabulary. So how can we make sure that we score well in lexical resource? By making sure that there's a lot of synonyms and words, different words that we're using. Remember, you cannot use idioms in your essays because this is a formal type of writing. So in formal or academic writing, you cannot use idioms because those are more informal. So you can just use simple words. But whenever you're using these words, high vocabulary words, make sure you know the correct meaning and they are not a misfit here. So words like youngsters instead of saying children again and again, devote time instead of saying spend time, outdoor activities, completely concur, then saying agreement, then glued to the screens, right? One way of saying um, age mates with peer mates or other peers, then uh, exposure to fresh air is crucial for maintaining, to exemplify reduction in screen time. And then we have used in the last paragraph. Yes, here it is. One's offsprings, and instead of just saying children. So out of door instead of saying outdoor sports compared to indoors. So this is the different ways you can incorporate synonyms and words in your essay, right? It could be very simple words. For example, collaborate instead of saying coming together, or just using different terms like higher word terms like instills, right? Instill means that you put you lay the foundation for something, you put something inside someone. That means instills communication skills. That means it teaches you. So instead of saying teaches you communication skills, we used instills. So these are the few words that you can go ahead and add into your daily vocabulary as well, so that while you're writing your essays, you can use this. Next, we have coherence and cohesion. So when we talk about coherence and cohesion, it's about the connecting dots between these ideas. Are they connecting overall? Is there a flow, sense of rhythm to your essay? How can we make sure that is happening? With use of linkers, for example, then moreover, to exemplify, additionally, then we had something here, without a doubt. That is also something that we are just like hence trying to connect, to encapsulate, therefore, um, hence. So these are all the ways you can use these connectors to improve coherence and cohesion in your essay. Next, we have grammatical range and accuracy. Very, very important. So when I say about accuracy, of course, your tenses have to be correct. Your punctuation has to be spot on. So wherever you're putting your commas, your full stops, you have to make sure that they are put on the correct spot. Next, range. So when we talk about range, that means using different kinds of sentence structures, not just sticking to simple sentences, but using compound sentences, passive sentences, conditional statements. For example, when it comes to spending time outdoors. Now, see, this clause in itself is not complete. This is a dependent clause. It has several benefits for children as participating in physical activities promotes physical fitness. This is an independent clause. So when we combine a dependent and independent clause, we make sure that we are writing a complex sentence, right? So different ways to do it, without a doubt, participating instead another example of a range of sentences. So just not we are not just supposed to stick to your simple sentences. Add different kinds of sentences within your essay. So these are the four key markers. All of these carry 25% weightage that you're marked in all of these categories, depending on like all of these have 25% weightage, and then you're given your final band score given according to these questions. So now make sure that you focus and incorporate all of these things while you're writing your essay. And not to forget, what is the word limit? Now, when we're talking about the word limit, something that is very important, that you're supposed to write at least 250 words, so you cannot write less than that. So make sure that when you're writing your essays, you have an idea of how many words you're writing and how many how much space is it taking, so that you know that when you have to stop. Do not The optimal limit that we suggest is 280 to 290 words. That is the optimal limit. You can go ahead and write this, but do not exceed 300 words, because then it becomes too wordy and it is not giving you any benefit, giving you any benefit. Instead, it might have the adverse effects, because there's more propensity of you making more grammatical errors, and then the examiners might feel that you're not conveying the information, but just simply talking about, making it more lengthy without any adequate reason. So these are the things that we had to cover in this session. That's all for today. Thank you so much for joining. And for more such interactive IELTS sessions and content, please follow us on LinkedIn and subscribe to our channel. And if there's anything that you feel you might want to learn, and there's something that is something you want in the next sessions, go ahead and comment in the sections below. We'll be more than happy to incorporate it for you in the upcoming webinars. And if you want the resources, access to the resources that we have curated for you, or you want to find out some gather details about our IELTS courses, be it foundational, grammar courses, or comprehensive crash courses, you can visit our website www.yunolearning.com or give us a call at this number. Thank you so much for joining. See you in the next session.